At 3:17 station time, the colony of Kepler's Reach simply vanished. All transmissions stopped. No distress call, no power failure, not even an automated emergency beacon. Just gone. One moment, everything was routine. Ore manifests, habitat reports, even a birthday message from a technician to his daughter, back on Luna. The next, every channel went dead. Kepler's Reach was a remote outpost. Far from any major trade lanes, a tiny speck in the vast darkness between the stars. It wasn't important enough to be a target or rich enough to be robbed. It was just a quiet mining colony, home to 8,000 souls. In deep space, silence is normal. But this silence? This was different. 48 hours later, the warship TCNS Vigilant tore through slip space, its hull glowing with blue ion light as it arrived to find out what happened. What they discovered would change everything. Commander Lily Maris stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back, her gaze locked on the main display. She'd managed disasters before, reactor meltdowns, pirate skirmishes, even a tense first contact that thankfully ended with a handshake. But this felt different. Colony in visual range, the sensor officer's voice cut through the silence. No energy emissions detected. No thermal bloom. Orbital platforms are intact. Intact? Maris questioned, a knot tightening in her stomach. Yes, ma'am. No battle damage. Not even a debris field. That was wrong. Utterly wrong. Every ghost ship and abandoned station humanity had ever found told a story through its scars micrometeor pockmarks. Stress fractures, the lingering energy fingerprints of a dying reactor. Kepler's Reach showed nothing. The colony just rotated silently, its massive habitat ring still spinning, sunlight glinting off solar arrays that should have been cold and dead for years. Any traffic pings? Maris asked. None. Transponders are active but not responding. It's like they're powered but asleep. Maris exhaled slowly. Bring us in. Yellow alert. No active weapons lock. The Vigilant advanced, a needle of light approaching a city that should have been alive. They docked at Habitat Ring Alpha. The airlock cycled. No alarm sounded. The boarding team stepped inside. Commander Maris led them herself, flanked by 6 Marines in sealed armor. Their helmet lights cut narrow cones through the dim corridor. Emergency lighting glowed faintly, painting the walls in amber. Atmosphere reads clean, 1 Marine reported. Oxygen levels nominal. Another frowned. No movement. No heat signatures beyond baseline systems. They advanced. The corridor smelled wrong. Not rot, not smoke. Metal and cold air, tinged with something faintly organic. They reached the first commons area. It was pristine. Tables neatly arranged. Mugs, data pads, a child's floating toy still drifting lazily. No signs of struggle, Maris murmured, picking up a datapad. The screen flickered to life instantly. The last message time-stamped at 3:16 in the morning. Closing shift. See you all in the morning. That was it. 1 minute later, the entire colony had vanished. They found the first body in the hydroponics sector. A technician lay sprawled between rows of leafy greens, his eyes wide open, face frozen in pure terror. There were no wounds, no blood. His body temperature was almost the same as the room. Commander, one of the Marines said quietly. More bodies followed. They weren't clustered together or barricaded. They were scattered, alone in corridors, slumped in chairs, collapsed mid-stride. All of them were the same. No injuries, no signs of violence. Every face locked in the exact same final expression. Fear. Maris's jaw tightened. Medical scans? Neurological trauma, the Marine replied after a pause. Massive. It's like their brains just stopped. How? No one answered. The colony's central command hub was completely dark. Not a single light, not a flicker on a screen. Just absolute, suffocating blackness. I could hear the engineer's breath hitch next to me. "Power's live," she whispered, her voice barely a tremor in the silence. Someone turned the lights off manually. A cold dread settled in my stomach. Why would anyone do that? Taking a steadying breath, I gave the only order I could. Lights, and the room was flooded with blinding white. My eyes screamed in protest. As my vision cleared, I saw it. The main wall wasn't a view screen anymore. It was a message. Etched directly into the alloy, the metal warped and fused as if cut by a blade of pure heat and pressure. It was a symbol. A series of curved lines forming a twisted crescent, wrapping itself around a perfect, empty void. What did it mean? Who left it? And what were they trying to tell us? There was no known language, no known mathematics. Just the shape. One of the Marines swallowed hard. "Commander, there's something else." He pointed to the floor. Hundreds of faint, claw-like impressions were etched into the surface. The patterns were too precise to be random, circling the room in a perfect, unsettling loop. It was as if something had been standing there in the darkness, watching them. Back aboard the Vigilant, the bridge was dead silent as the data streamed in. "Commander," the science officer said, his voice tense, "we've reviewed all external sensor logs." The commander looked up. "And?" The officer hesitated. "There's a gap. Define gap. For exactly 4 minutes, from 3:13 to 3:17, all our long-range sensors experienced interference. It wasn't jamming or a failure. It was more like an absence of data, like something was just ... missing." "Absence of what?" "Of space, ma'am." No one spoke. The officer continued. Something was there that didn't register. No mass. No heat. No emissions. Maris stared at the colony on the screen. "Send a priority signal to Fleet Command," she said. "Full quarantine. Classify this as a hostile unknown." The officer hesitated. "And what do we call the incident?" Maris watched the darkened habitat ring spin silently. "Call it what it is," she said. First silence. Far beyond Kepri's reach, where starlight thinned and sensors meant nothing, something moved. It had watched the humans arrive. It had learned. And it had marked them. The hunt had begun. What lurks in the silence between worlds? Every Terran Coalition officer learns one simple rule. Space hides nothing. Engines leave heat signatures. Mass warps gravity. Life gives off radiation. Even the stealthiest ships create whispers in the fabric of spacetime, a statistical noise where there should be silence. That core belief died 3 days after Kepri's reach. Fleet Command didn't just dismiss Commander Maris's report. They buried it. Kepri's reach was classified Black Null. Its name was wiped from public star charts, and its traffic logs were sealed under threat of treason protocols. The official story? A catastrophic environmental systems failure. But unofficially, the Terran Coalition Navy quietly assembled Task Group Helios. 4 ships. Just enough to investigate, but not enough to cause a panic. Something happened at Kepri's reach, and they're determined to find out what it was. In the heart of the void sat the TCN's Aegis Dawn, a state-of-the-art fleet cruiser armed to the teeth. It boasted experimental detection arrays designed to see what conventional instruments simply couldn't. On the bridge, Captain Tom Simpson stood rigid, his eyes locked on a tactical display showing overlapping spheres of sensor coverage. "Confirmed sweep parameters," he commanded. "Gravimetric net deployed," came the reply from Tactical. Science added, "We're looking at this system from 13 different interpretations of physics, sir." Simpson nodded grimly. "Then whatever killed that colony won't sneak past us." He truly believed it, a belief he would come to regret. For 6 long hours, Task Group Helios patrolled the silent outskirts of the Kepri system. The dead colony turned slowly in the distance, quarantined and eerily quiet. No anomalies. Tactical reported for the 4th time. No contacts. No signal echoes. They found absolutely nothing. Simpan frowned. Commander Maris reported interference. The officer replied, "She did, sir, but it's not repeating." The science officer hesitated, looking uneasy. "Commander, there is something odd. Go on. There's a recurring sensor shadow. It appears right at the edge of detection, then just vanishes. There's no consistency. No vector." Simpson leaned forward, his interest piqued. "An artifact? We thought so at first. But it's appearing across completely independent systems." "Meaning?" The scientist swallowed hard. "Meaning something is interacting with reality inconsistently." Before Simpson could even process that, alarms screamed through the bridge. Not proximity alarms, not weapons lock. These were crew panic alarms. "Report!" Simpson snapped into the com. Security's voice came back, strained. "Section 7, Engineering Access Corridor. We had motion detected, then lost." "Lost how?" "Like it just stepped out of existence." And just then, the lights flickered. Only once, but it was enough. Every officer on the bridge felt it, an instinctive tightening in their chest, a crawling sensation just behind the eyes. The tactical officer spoke slowly. "Commander, we're getting a contact." A new image bloomed on the main display. It wasn't a ship. It was a distortion, like space itself was folding inward, swallowing starlight without even bending it. Its range was 10,000 kilometers. Its velocity was unknown. Its mass registered as 0. "That's impossible," someone whispered from the back of the bridge. But Commander Simpson's voice cut through the tension, steady and firm. "All ships, condition red, weapons free." Just then, the distortion moved. Not toward them, but around them, encircling the fleet. On the destroyer escort Helios Lance, Lieutenant Mara Jackson was mid-sentence when the corridor lights suddenly died, plunging her into darkness. What happens next? Her helmet optics switched to infrared. Nothing. No heat signatures. Her squad froze in place. "Hold formation," she whispered into the comms, back to back. The silence in the derelict ship was absolute, a heavy blanket that smothered every sound. Then something broke it. Not footsteps, breathing, a slow, measured, almost curious sound echoing from all around them. "Contact," Jackson began to say, his voice tight with fear. But he never finished. Something cold and smooth touched her shoulder. Her suit's telemetry spiked, heart rate, neural activity, stress hormones all redlining. Then everything went cold. All at once, her entire squad's feed cut out. On the bridge of the command ship, a panicked voice broke the silence. "Captain," Tactical reported, "we've lost contact with the Helios Lance's internal security teams. Total signal loss." Simpson clenched his jaw. "External status?" A voice crackled back. "Ship still there. No hull breach. No weapons fire." He barked into the comms. "Engineering status?" A tense pause followed. Then a strained voice. "Sir, something's wrong. We're seeing pressure changes without any decompression. Bulkheads are registering contact, but there's nothing there." The distortion on the main display sharpened. It was closer now, but still unreadable. The science officer spoke, her voice barely controlled. "Captain, it's reacting to us." "Reacting how?" Simpson demanded. "To observation," she explained. "The more we focus our sensors on it, the less data we actually receive." A cold chill ran down Simpson's spine as someone muttered from the back of the bridge. "It's like it doesn't want to be seen." The Helios Lance's signal blinked. Once, then it vanished. "No debris," Tactical said, his voice laced with disbelief. "No explosion. No energy surge. Ships don't just disappear." Captain Simpson growled, his knuckles white on the command chair. The distortion in space shifted again, closer to their ship, the Aegis Dawn now. It was close enough that the bridge lights dimmed subtly, as if the ship itself were afraid to shine too brightly. "Captain," the science officer said, his voice shaking. "We're detecting emissions." "What kind?" Simpson demanded. "Neural resonance patterns." Simpson turned slowly, his eyes wide. "You're saying it's broadcasting thoughts?" "Not broadcasting," the scientist whispered, his face pale. "Listening." And then the strange distortion pulsed, as if in response. Every single screen on the bridge just went black. A moment of pure, silent darkness. Then, power flickered back on, but something was terribly wrong. Outside, the stars were all wrong. The tactical map, our guide through the galaxy, was useless. It didn't match any known constellations. Navigation's voice was tight with panic. "We didn't jump. It's impossible." Then Tactical's voice, colder and sharper. "Captain, we're alone. The entire task group gone. Just us." That's when the pedal crackled to life. It wasn't language. It wasn't static. It was a whisper. Layers of sound, tones sliding over each other. It didn't feel hostile, but it definitely wasn't friendly. It felt curious. And then, on the main screen, a shape began to form, a silhouette against the strange new stars. It was tall, elongated, with eyes like two distant, cold points of light. The captain slowly rose from his chair. "This is Captain Tom Simpson of the Terran Coalition Navy. Identify yourselves." He spoke with a calm he didn't feel. The alien shape tilted its head. And for the first time in human history, the Night Hunters spoke. Not in words, but directly into the minds of every soul on the bridge. "You walk in light. You do not know the dark." Then the display went dead. The stars returned, and the ship was utterly alone. Hours later, the Aegis Dawn limped back to Coalition space, systems fried, crew shaken, minds scarred. Of Task Group Helios, only one ship returned. Fleet Command would later name the terrifying encounter Ghosts in the Void. But the Night Hunters? They called it something else entirely. First Contact. The escape pod arrived without warning. It slipped out of fold space right at the edge of Coalition-controlled territory, its transponder screaming an outdated military distress code. This code hadn't been used in nearly 20 years. For 3 full seconds, automated defense platforms tracked it, ready to fire. Before a command authorization froze every weapon system in range. The pod was just tumbling. No guidance corrections, no breaking burns. It was just a dead, spinning relic, drifting helplessly toward the light. From Control Station Cerberus, Rear Admiral Jonah Knight watched the live feed in complete silence. He finally broke the tension with 2 words. "Confirm origin," he said. What secrets did this ghost from the past hold? And what would it mean for the entire coalition? Pod ID matches the Helios Lance. Serial number is authentic. Life signs 1. My fingers tightened on the railing. Bring it in. Full medical quarantine. Psychic screening authorization granted. Several heads turned at that. Psychic screening wasn't officially supposed to exist. The pod cracked open inside a sealed hangar, bathed in sterile white light. Medical teams swarmed. Inside, strapped into the cradle, was Lieutenant Mara Jackson. She was alive, barely. Her armor was intact, no breach, no visible trauma. But her vitals were a nightmare heart rate spiking, then dropping dangerously low, neural activity surging in patterns the scanners couldn't even classify. Sedation? A medic asked. I shook my head. Not yet. I want her conscious. Just then, Jackson's eyes fluttered open. Her gaze locked onto mine, filled with an ancient, chilling terror. What happened to the Helios Lance? She screamed. It wasn't words, just a raw, tearing sound ripping from her chest, like her lungs were on fire. It took 3 medics to gently restrain her as she thrashed against straps meant to keep her still. "They're still here," she gasped, her voice ragged. "Turn on the lights. Turn them all on." One of the medics replied softly, "They are on." Jackson just sobbed. "No," she whispered. "It's not enough." They moved her to a secure observation suite. Reinforced walls, adjustable lighting across the entire spectrum. Every surface gleamed, not a single shadow allowed to exist for more than a heartbeat. Behind the observation glass, Knight watched as Dr. Solano, a neuropsych specialist, sat with Jackson. "Lieutenant," Solano said calmly, "do you know where you are?" Jackson nodded, her eyes darting everywhere. Safe space. "For now." "What do you mean, for now?" "They don't like crowds," she whispered. "Too noisy. Too bright. But they watch." Knight felt a cold weight settle in his gut. "Tell me what happened aboard the Helios Lance," Solano said. Jackson just laughed, a weak, broken sound. "You didn't lose us in a fight," she said. "You lost us in a hunt." Her voice was thin, replaying the memory. Her squad was clearing a maintenance corridor, just standard procedure. Tight formation, overlapping sensors. Jackson insisted. Nothing showed up. No heat, no motion, no sound. Then the lights dimmed, not all the way off, just lower. Like the ship itself was afraid to be seen. She closed her eyes, and her voice dropped to a whisper. That's when we heard them. Solano leaned in closer. "Heard what, Lieutenant?" Jackson's whole body trembled. "Breathing. Right behind us. Slow. Controlled. Like they were savoring it. They spun around, weapons raised, scanning with infrared, LiDAR, everything." She shook her head in disbelief. "They were standing right there. And we couldn't see them." Jackson's voice dropped. "They touched us." Solano froze. "Touched? Not to hurt. Not right away." Jackson swallowed hard. "To learn." Knight's jaw tightened behind the glass. "They pressed against our armor," Jackson continued. "Hands, or something like them. They tilted our helmets, leaned close." Her breathing quickened. "They knew our names." Solano's eyes widened just slightly. "You're certain?" "They spoke inside my head," Jackson said, her voice trembling. "Not with words. It was ... understanding." She hugged herself, straining against the restraints. They knew what scared us. And it wasn't death. It wasn't pain. Imagine the chilling silence after that revelation. What could possibly be more terrifying than our deepest fears being known by an alien intelligence? This scene sets up a truly mind-bending psychological horror. What do you think they discovered? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into incredible storytelling. Thanks for watching. Phantom Static, where the phantoms speak through the static.